Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. And, you know, I kind of like some of these because, you know, I like good food. Roast Suckling Pig Day. Okay, 2 to 6 weeks, still fed by its mother's milk. Pig is roasted until the skin is crisp, meat is tender and succulent. That's just 8 to 30 pounds. Okay, looks good. Now, I must admit that when my sons were involved in football, they had some contingent of Samoan families that were on the team. And I got to tell you, that wasn't the little baby pigs that the Samoans were making. They had the big old massive pigs, and they would dig out an area over there out in the back and bury the pig and cook it. And boy, was that good. I don't know if you've ever had pig cooked like that. Mighty fine eating. And, you know, having beaten anorexia, I am an expert in mighty fine eating. Today is also National Twin Day. Okay, I'm not a twin. Sometimes, I guess before I started on my weight loss journey, people thought that I might be twins. That would just be me, though. And today is, now I'm going to have to call my friends and family and talk about this one, because today we celebrate the 5th night of Hanukkah, and it's National Regifting Day. So if you got a gift on the first night of Hanukkah and you don't like it, you still have time today, and you got 3 more nights, 4 more, 5, 6, 4 nights. So we already finished 4, so we got 4 more to go. So it's a time of celebration, and I like to celebrate. And usually, you know, it's kind of funny. How do Jewish people celebrate? With food, of course. I mean, what else do we do? I just throw that out there. What the heck? What's the markets doing today? Well, we got some good news in the markets today. So I'm looking at the 5.0 coupon of the mortgage bond. It's now up 20 basis points. So we have, and remember, when that bond goes up, rates go down. We've gone through the 20-day, the 100-day moving average. We've broken through the 50-day moving average. We've broken through the 25-day moving average. So those averages, when you go through those levels of resistance, now they become levels of support. Technical jargon, I know, and you probably don't care, but what does it mean to you? Well, it puts a little bit of a ceiling on where mortgage rates are heading. So we hope that those levels hold. And right now I'm looking that the 10-year Treasury has dropped below the 25-day moving average. That's not usually a big, strong level, but you know, if we can keep dropping down there, it's going to be good for mortgage rates. I'm looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's come down a little bit. It was up higher earlier, but right now it's up 256 points. The NASDAQ is up 358 points. Wow. The S&P 500 is up 73 points, and oil's up 56 cents a barrel. $56.49 is the cost of a barrel of oil. Now, you don't want it to get too much lower than that, because then the refiners, they don't make money, and you know how much motivation they have if they're not making money. That would be none. So California gas prices, $4.33, national average, $2.90 a gallon, $2.90, and still dropping. A week ago, $2.94, yesterday, $2.91, today, $2.90. So we like that. California, it is what it is. We're still way too high, but, we keep voting for these same people.
It is what it is.
Exactly. So we're gonna not get anywhere with that. Inflation coming down, and I don't care what your political party is. We just look at the numbers here. Inflation is coming down, and the first of the year, or you can watch our social channels, we're going to be coming out with an entire suite of calculators. There's probably 30 calculators in the suite, and some of them are just staggering what our teams put together. One of them will actually estimate what your tax refund will be, or based on the One Big Beautiful Act. And again, I don't care whether you like it or don't like it. All I'm going by is what are the numbers? What it filters in the new tax laws, the new standard deductions, auto interest rate deductions. All of that is factored into this. So if you want to get an idea before the end of the year, which is when you can make your adjustments, get an indication before the end of the year what your tax due or refund might look like. Well, we're going to have those calculators. Now, I don't have them ready for us today, and Josh and I are looking forward to this. I'm going to speak for Josh right now because I can guess. Today's going to be our last live broadcast of the year. So we'll be back with you after the first of the year. Josh, what's the date of our first show next year? Is it the 3rd or 4th, something like that? The first Monday, the first full week, we'll be back. And we'll be getting some, the 5th. Okay. So we'll be back on the 5th. So we get a couple of weeks to do some rejuvenating. And but you know something? Watch the social channels, because I never stop posting on socials. If you've been watching us for any length of time, you know that we get about 20 or 30 posts a day, just sharing the things that are coming out, come across my desk. So keep an eye on that. We'll be bringing that to you. And the calculators are a big one. And we're going to talk about some of the things that the calculators are going to deal with. Rent versus own. Should you buy now or should you wait? We're going to do that advanced look at the taxes. We've got a calculator that'll let you decide, are you better off, and again, based on current tax code, are you better off itemizing, or are you better off taking the standard deduction? Now, I don't give tax advice, but I will tell you that you can use this information to make some decisions, and then talk to your CPA, enrolled agent, tax planner, and get some more advice from them as well. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, is January the best time to buy a home? The truth about FICO scores, what you really need to know, and the refinance timing gap. All of these are from the top 3 questions. So what we're doing is top 3 questions of real estate, of credit, and finance that we got throughout 2025. And we're going to answer all of those today on Ron Siegel Radio. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates across consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payment. If you do not have a mortgage calculator, shame on you, because it's available. Ron Siegel, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. And by the time this is broadcast on ABC News and Talk, I think we'll probably have rsrlinks.com/calc, C-A-L-C. Josh, we do calc or calculator? I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we'll have one of those out there where you can get a link to go to all of our different calculators. What did rates do yesterday? It was almost like the roller coasters I was on at Disneyland yesterday. Up and down. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.208. That was up. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.359. That was down. FHA 30-year fix, 6.078. That was up. VA 30-year fix, 5.758. That was down. USDA 30-year fix, 6.042. That was up. So, it's one of those up and down days from yesterday. And, we're in this home stretch. Traders really are not getting too involved right now. They're getting ready for the holidays. There's no great data coming out. I know for the technical people, QCEW comes out tomorrow. So that's the real jobs numbers. Because it comes out from the Census Bureau, and people get in trouble if they don't answer the census. So we do get that data tomorrow. But if you want to know our thoughts about the market, and even while we're on holiday, so to speak, when the show's giving us some replays, Josh will be getting those ready for us. We're going to still be putting up our thoughts on our Ron Siegel Radio community, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. That's the Ron Siegel Radio community. And we put our thoughts right there. So let's see what the markets are doing today. And more importantly, why? So if I look right now, the S&P 500 is up 59.3. 10-year Treasury is down 3.7 basis points, 4.122, holding down below that 25-day moving average. And I'm looking at the mortgage bond is now up 18 basis points. Again, we're still holding below some of our technical levels, so we like to see that. And the big question, because I tell you this all the time, is you can find all those numbers if you know where to look on Google, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. I don't know. There's like 17 AI tools right now, probably more than 17 AI tools. But what most of them will not tell you, because they don't know, is the question of why. So we got this morning, the BLS released their November Consumer Price Index report, which shows the 2-month change from their last release in September. Remember, the government was shut down in October. So we've got the numbers are October and November data coming out today. Headliner all-in inflation rose 0.2%. That is a good number. Yeah. Or only 0.1% per month. Year over year inflation decelerated from 3% to 2.7%, which is well below estimates looking for it to remain stable. Energy prices rose 0.55% on average per month, but we have seen WTI, the West Texas Intermediate crude oil, fall sharply of late, and that should help energy come down in the coming reports. Most important, core rate, which strips out food and energy prices, rose 0.1% per month in October and November. This was also much lower than estimates and caused the year-over-year figure to decline from 3% to 2.6%, much lower than any estimates out there. And you say, Ron, you went at 0.1% per month in October and November, yet you went down 0.4%. Well, it has to do with the numbers that we replace from the prior year, October and November. We thought we would see inflation come in cooler due to shelter, which did not disappoint. Shelter makes up 44% of the core index and rose by only 0.1% per month over the last 2 months. Year over year, it declined from 3.6% to 3%. The wild card, lodging away from home component, fell sharply by 8% over the last 2 months, which did help and shows that Airbnbs and hotels experienced weakness, possibly hurt by the shutdown. Bottom line, bonds rallied in response to the cooler inflation. The Fed doves like Stephen Moran must be taking a victory lap as shelter is now finally catching up and adding deflationary pressure. While shelter has made a lot of progress in this report, there is still more room to go. The Cotality single-family rental index for October showed that new rents rose by 0.9% year over year, down from 1% in the previous report. Fourth month in a row of declines, and it is at a 15-year low, the single-family rent growth. And this report measures single-family rentals, which have more pricing power than multifamily. Many of the other new rent reports are showing negative figures year over year. This should continue to help shelter catch up next year and help overall inflation continue to cool. We did get this morning the initial jobless claims, which measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the first time, fell 13,000 to 224,000. This report has been bumpy, coming in very low during Thanksgiving holiday week, then rising in last week's report as a bounce back, and now coming in around levels we have been seeing ahead of the holiday skew. Continuing claims rose 67,000 to 1.9 million, bouncing back to after they were impacted by the holiday as the report looks back 2 weeks. Continuing claims are just off their highs, but still elevated and near some of the highest levels since November 2021, continuing to show that once someone is let go, it's harder to find a job because of less hiring. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Mortgage 101, I think, is what we've got next on the docket. Mortgage 101 brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. You're staring at 6.2% refinance offer right now. But what if rates hit 5.8% next year? Should you pull the trigger today or wait 6 months? Here's why that's exactly the wrong question to ask. And I think we talked about this more in depth on Monday, but we're going to get to it again. And again, this is one of the top questions we got throughout the year. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let me tell you about a client I spoke to. Got a 7.25% mortgage from 2023, and she's paralyzed. A lender offered her a 6.2% today. But she read somewhere that rates might drop to the high fives by late 2026. So she's waiting. And while she waits, she's paying an extra $340 per month compared to that 6.2% rate. Now, if you've been listening to Ron Siegel Radio, you know what she should be doing. rsrlinks.com/second look. rsrlinks.com/2ND look. We just take a look at what you've been offered, see if it makes sense in comparison to your dreams and goals, and find out how we can help you from there. Maybe you've got the best deal going, but we look at it and we see. Here's what most people miss. You're not betting on mortgage rates. You're managing your household cash flow. Think about it this way. If you refinance today at 6.2% and rates drop to 5.8% next year, what really happened? You saved money every single month until that drop occurred. Let's say you're on a $400,000 mortgage. Moving from 7.25% to 6.2% saves you roughly $340 monthly. Real money leaving your budget right now. But here's where strategy beats rate always. The question isn't what will rates do? The question is, what's the cost? What's this costing me today? And what's my household blended interest rate? Another client, similar situation, different decision. He had that same 7.25% mortgage, but he also had $45,000 in credit card debt at 22% average interest. Monthly minimum payments were crushing him at $1,350. We repositioned that debt through a cash out refinance at 6.2%. And yes, his mortgage payment went up by $280. But those credit card payments gone. His household blended interest rate dropped from 14.3 to 6.2. That's $1,070 per month back in his budget. Not next year, today. And again, I'm just doing this for educational purposes. That's why I don't give you all the APRs and all the formalities. I'm trying to educate you because you don't put an APR into the mortgage calculator. You don't put an APR into the budget. And we're not giving you an offer to borrow right now. I'm just giving you an education. So when people ask me, should I refinance now or wait for rates to drop? I always respond with questions. What's your current rate? What's your current rate? What other debt are you carrying? What's your household blended interest rate? How much is waiting actually costing you? If you don't know those answers, rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Because here's the reality. Even if rates do drop another half point next year, you can refinance again. That's not a one-time decision. What you can't do is get back the months of higher payments you made while you were waiting to time the market perfectly. And I promise you, your lender, your servicing company will not be sending you a thank you note. Let's talk about those predictions for a second. Fannie Mae says rates might hit high fives by late 2026. The Fed's projections suggest gradual decreases. But remember, 2024, everyone predicted rates would drop below 6% by summer. That did not happen. Inflation spiked again, and rates stayed elevated longer than the experts expected. You can't control the Fed. You can't control inflation. You can control your household cash flow today. Here's what I tell every client trying to time the market. Focus on suitability, not just eligibility. Yes, you might be eligible for a better rate in 6 months, but is waiting suitable for your household budget right now? Look at your complete financial picture through the lens of safety, liquidity, and return. Safety. Are high monthly payments putting pressure on your emergency fund? Liquidity. Could lower monthly payments free up cash for other strategic moves? Return. What's the opportunity cost of that extra monthly payment? This isn't about predicting the future. It's about managing your money strategically today. If you're wrestling with whether to refinance now or wait, let's look at your complete picture together. Visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps, and let's look at your whole picture. Let's look at rsrlinks.com/two-step, rsrlinks.com/two-step. That's where we show you the analysis of refinancing today, consolidating your debt, and then considering whether it's prudent to do it again 6 to 12 months from now. Remember, strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. I am Ron Siegel. Remember, you're not trying to time the market. You're trying to build wealth through strategic debt management. That's the Mortgage 101 segment brought to you by rsrlinks.com, rsrlinks.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, is January the best time to buy a home? Top home buyer questions we heard from 2025 as we head into 2026. And what else do we have in here? The truth about FICO scores, what you really need to know. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Is January the best time to buy a home? You may not want to put your home buying plans into hibernation mode this winter. While a lot of people assume spring is the ideal time to buy a house, new data shows January may actually be the best time of year for budget-conscious buyers. Kind of surprising, right? Here's why January deserves a serious look. Number one, prices tend to be lower this time of year. Lending Tree says January is the least expensive month to buy a home, and there's something to that. January has historically offered one of the lowest price per square foot points of the entire year. But the spring, that's when demand and prices usually peak. And that's not speculation. It's a well-known trend based on years of market data. And if you are watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of January showing that January is the least expensive month to buy a home based on price per square foot. So how much less are we talking? Here's a look at the numbers. According to the last full year of data for the typical 1,500 square foot house, buyers who closed on their home in January paid around $23,000 less compared to those who bought in May. And that general trend typically holds true each year. You're seeing that on the chart again. January buyers could save an average of $23,000 on that 1,500 square foot home. Now, your number is going to depend on the price, size, and type of home that you're buying, but the trend is clear. For today's buyers, it's meaningful savings, especially when affordability is still tight for so many households. Number two, fewer buyers and more motivated sellers. And why do buyers typically save in the winter? It's simple. Winter is one of the slowest times of the housing market each year. Both buyers and sellers tend to pull back, thinking it's better to wait until spring. And that means you face less competition. You're less likely to get into a multiple offer scenario. Sellers are more willing to negotiate since there aren't as many buyers. With fewer buyers in the market, you can take your time browsing. But winter doesn't thin out the pool of buyers. It also reveals which sellers truly need to sell, because fewer people are house hunting during the colder months. Sellers who really need to move tend to be more open to negotiating. As Realtor.com explains, quote, less competition means fewer bidding wars and more power to negotiate the extras that add up. Closing costs, home warranties, even repair concessions. These concessions can end up knocking thousands of dollars off the price of the home, unquote. Or better than knocking thousands off the price of the home, use those thousands of dollars to buy down the interest rate. rsrlinks.com/buy down. rsrlinks.com/buy down. See how we can save you tens of thousands of dollars for every thousands of dollars that you get knocked off the price. This can include everything from price cuts to covering closing costs, adjusting timelines, and more. It doesn't mean you'll automatically get discounts on every home, but it does mean you're more likely to be taken seriously and given room to negotiate. Here's the real takeaway. When you remove the pressure and frenzy that comes with the buying spring season, it becomes much easier to get the home you want at a price that fits your budget. But if you wait until spring, more buyers will be in the market. So waiting could actually mean you spend more and you'd have to deal with more stress. Now, only you can decide the right timing for your life, but don't assume you should wait for warmer weather before you move. Buying in January gives you less competition, potentially lower prices, and more motivated sellers. And those are the 3 perks you're not going to see if you wait until spring. Bottom line, if you've been thinking about taking the next step, this season might give you more opportunity than you think. Curious what buying in January could look like for you? Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's take a closer look at your numbers and the homes that are available in your area, because I've got a report card on real estate professionals in nearly every zip code of the United States. And yes, I can tell you who's actually doing business and who's just talking about doing business. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. You check your Credit Karma app and see a 720 score. You feel pretty good. Then you sit down with a lender and they tell you your score is 680. What just happened? And more importantly, what does it mean for your financial future? I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, we're going to cut through the confusion about credit scores, because understanding your actual FICO score isn't just about qualifying for loans. It's about the strategy behind your entire debt structure. So let's start with the question I hear most often. What is a good FICO score? FICO scores range between 300 and 850. The national average hovers around 715 to 718. But here's what you need to understand. Quote unquote good depends on what you're trying to accomplish. A score of 670 to 739 is considered good. 740 to 799 is very good. And 800 plus, that's exceptional. But here's the part that matters for your wallet. Most mortgage lenders reserve their absolute best interest rates for scores above 740, sometimes 760. I had a client come to me. She had a 695 score, technically good, right? But when we ran the numbers, every 20 points of improvement in her score would save her about $75 per month on her mortgage payment. Over 30 years, we're talking about real money here. That's why I always tell people your credit score isn't just a number, it's a tool in your strategic debt management strategy. Now, if you want to improve something, you need to understand how it works. Your FICO score is calculated using 5 factors, and they're not weighted equally. Payment history is 35% of your score. This is why one late payment hurts so much. Miss a single credit card payment by 30 days, and you can see your score drop 50, 60, or even 100 points, depending upon where you started. Second biggest factor is amounts owed, which is 30% of your score. This is really about utilization, how much of your available credit you're using. If you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you're carrying a $7,000 balance, you're at 70% utilization. That's hurting you. Then you've got length of credit history at 15%, credit mix at 10%, and new credit 10%. Ironically enough, the one people ask me about the most is I don't want to see my credit, don't run my credit because it'll hurt my score. It's the least, one of the least weighted parts of your score. Worry about the 35 and the 30 before you worry about the 10s. Here's why this matters. I see people all the time who pay off a credit card and immediately close the account, thinking you're being responsible, but what they've just done is reduce their available credit, which increases their utilization ratio on the remaining cards. The score drops, and they can't figure out why. Understanding these factors means you make strategic decisions, not emotional ones. And if you have not watched our video on how to pay your credit card bills the right way, rsrccpayment.com, rsrccpayment.com. How to raise your score fast. So what do you do if you need to raise your score quickly? Maybe you're planning to buy a home in the next few months. The fastest way to see improvement is to pay down revolving debt. Get your credit card utilization under 30% of your limit, or better yet, under 10%. You can see a score increase within 30 days of that balance reporting to the credit bureaus. Second, check your credit report for errors. I'm talking about late payments you actually made on time, accounts that aren't yours, collections that have been paid off but still showing as unpaid. Dispute these items, and if they're removed, you'll see an improvement. Go grab your real credit report at rsrlinks.com/FICO. rsrlinks.com/FICO. Third strategy, and this one surprises people. Become an authorized user on someone else's account. If you have a family member with a credit card that's been open for years with perfect payment history and a low balance to limit ratio, ask them to add you as an authorized user. The account's positive history can appear on your report, helping your length of history and overall utilization. Client used this strategy just a few months ago. Her daughter added her as an authorized user on a card that had been open since 2008 with 0 late payments. Within 45 days, her score jumped 28 points. Now, here's the curveball that's catching a lot of people off guard in 2025. You open Credit Karma. You see your score is 720. You're feeling good. Then you sit down with a mortgage lender, and they pull your credit and tell you it's at 680. You think there's been a mistake. There hasn't been. Credit Karma and most free credit apps show you something called a Vantage score. But here's what matters. 90% of top lenders use FICO scores, not Vantage scores. There are 2 different scoring models, and they can vary by 20, 30, sometimes even 40 points. This is why I always recommend people check their actual FICO score before they start shopping for a mortgage or making a major financial decision. Don't let a free app give you false confidence about where you really stand. I've set up a resource at rsrlinks.com/FICO, rsrlinks.com/FICO, where you can access your real FICO score, the one the lenders actually use when they're making decisions about your loan application. It's worth knowing where you truly stand, not where an app tells you that you stand. Here's where we tie this all together. Your credit score affects more than just loan approval. It affects your interest rate, which affects your monthly payments, which affects your household cash flow, which affects your ability to build wealth. This is strategic debt management in action. I've worked with people who spent years focused on paying off debt, but they never paid attention to their credit score or their household blended interest rate. They were making extra payments on a 4% mortgage while carrying credit card debt at 22%. Their credit utilization was killing their score, which meant they finally did not need to refinance or make a strategic move. They couldn't get the best rates. Strategy beats rate always. But strategy requires understanding all the pieces, including your credit score and how it functions as part of your overall financial picture. If you want to get serious about your credit strategy and understanding your complete liability picture, again, I've put together a resource, rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. It's a soft credit pull that gives you actual liability snapshot without impacting your score. Check your real FICO score at rsrlinks.com/FICO. Then get the full picture at rsrlinks.com/Sora. Here's what I know after 4 decades in this business. The families who build real wealth aren't just the ones with the highest incomes. They're the ones who understand how to strategically manage the liability side of their balance sheet. That's the Your Credit Matters segment. I am Ron Siegel, your Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. And remember, strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. Your Credit Matters brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. rsrlinks.com/debt-free. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, top homebuyer questions as we head into 2026. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Should you wait to buy a home? Will rates finally drop? Do you really need 20% down? As we head into 2026, I'm breaking down the 3 questions that dominated 2025 and giving you the answers nobody else will. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let me share what I've been learning and hearing. Let me share what I've been hearing all year long. First-time home buyers came to me with the same 3 questions over and over. Here's what's interesting. The conventional answers they were getting missed the bigger picture entirely. Question 1, should I wait to buy in 2026 or did I miss my chance? Here's what I told every single person who asked me this. Trying to time the real estate market is like trying to catch a falling knife. You might get lucky or you might get hurt. The real question isn't about the market. It's about your household budget and your strategy. I had a couple come to me. They'd been waiting 2 years for the perfect time to buy. Know what happened? They spent $72,000 in rent during those 2 years. That's $72,000 they'll never get back. Meanwhile, their friends who bought in 2023 now have equity building in their home. People worry about spending too much money on interest, yet $72,000 in rent is no different than spending too much in interest because you'll never get it back. The right time to buy isn't determined by what some economist predicts. It's determined by whether you have job stability, manageable debt, and a plan that fits your household blended interest rate. Question 2, will rates and prices drop in 2026? Everyone wants me to pull out my crystal ball on this one. Here's the truth. Rates might stabilize, they might tick down a bit, but we're not going back to 3% mortgages. That ship has sailed. But here's what nobody talks about. Your mortgage rate is only one part of the conversation. What really matters is your household rate. What's the weighted average of all your debt, your mortgage, your car, your credit cards, your student loans? I worked with a client recently who was holding off on buying because he wanted to wait for a lower rate. Meanwhile, he was carrying $45,000 in credit card debt at 23% interest and 2 car loans at 8%. We repositioned that debt into his new mortgage. And even though his mortgage rate was 6.75%, his household blended interest rate dropped from 14.2 to 6.1. That freed up $1,847 per month in his budget. Now, here's the part that most people miss when they're waiting for rates to drop. If rates do come down, what happens? Suddenly, everyone who's been sitting on the sidelines rushes into the market. More buyers competing for the same homes means prices go up, way up. Think about it this way. Your mortgage payment today might be at the highest point, but the home prices are probably at the low point. And here's the beautiful part. We can always restructure a home loan if rates drop. You can refinance, but you can't go back and change the price you paid for the house. So you're choosing between locking in today's price with today's rate, knowing you can fix the rate later, or waiting and possibly paying more for the same house when rates drop and competition heats up. We can change your mortgage payment. We cannot change your home price. Strategy beats rate always. Question number 3. Do I really need 20% down? This one drives me crazy because the answer is absolutely not. Yeah, I still hear people delaying their home purchase to save up that magical 20%. Here's the reality. Conventional loans are available with as little as 3% down. FHA loans need 3.5% down. VA loans, nothing down. And there are dozens of down payment assistance programs that most buyers don't even know about. In fact, I recently helped a teacher qualify for a program that required only 1% down. 1%. And many states have updated their first-time homebuyer assistance programs for 2026, some offering grants that cover closing costs, that provide forgivable second mortgages for down payment help. These programs exist at the state, county, and even city level, but nobody tells you about them because most lenders aren't willing to do the extra paperwork. But here's where suitability comes into play. Just because you're eligible for a 1% or 3% down loan doesn't mean it's suitable for your situation. Maybe you'd be better off with a 5% down to avoid PMI jumping off sooner. Maybe you should use some of your down payment savings to pay off high interest debt. Or maybe, and this is where it gets interesting, you should use some of those same funds to buy down the interest rate. I had a client ready to put 15% down on a home after we ran the numbers. We put down 5% and used part of the savings to buy down his interest rate and the rest to eliminate his credit card debt and build a proper emergency fund. His monthly payment actually went down by $340 and his overall monthly obligations dropped by $890. That's the difference between eligibility and suitability. Bottom line, here's what I want you to know as we head into 2026. The questions have not changed, but the strategies have evolved. Before you make any decisions about buying a home, you need to see the complete picture of your household finances. Visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps. And you'll get access to the same financial framework I use with my clients to help them make smart, strategic decisions about home buying. And if you want to understand how buy down strategies can lower your payment, rsrlinks.com/buydown. That's rsrlinks.com/buydown. Because remember, strategy beats rate always. That's real-time real estate. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Remember, real-time real estate brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. And we just have a couple of minutes left, so let me give you away a couple of things. I think we just came out with the new home buyers guides, rsrlinks.com/HBG. That's our home buyers guide, rsrlinks.com/HBG. We've got the new home sellers guide, rsrlinks.com/HSG. VA loans. And we're going to have a new book for VA loans too. So watch out for that. rsrlinks.com/VA loan. rsrlinks.com/VA loan. So we've got that coming out for you. Lots of stuff. What else do we have that we can give away quickly? rsrlink.com/RVO. Thinking about buying or renting? Yeah, rsrlinks.com/RVO. And I am still a very big proponent of the reverse mortgage. rsrlinks.com/RVO. rsrlinks.com/RVO. And as always, we ask, hit that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. And again, if you have any questions, meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 at ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.